Welcome to the Back to Me podcast, where we help multicultural incoming freshman women and men manage their entire college experience throughout post-graduation to successfully transition into entrepreneurship and corporate workspaces as new hires.
Back to me. Oh, I turned it around. I'm back to me. I finally figured it out. I'm back to me. So when you think you have nothing, back to me. I go back to me. Yeah, I'm back to me.
But love is blind, and lovers cannot see the pretty follies that themselves commit. William Shakespeare from his play, The Merchant of Venice. The power of love. You know, the power of love when we're dating really needs to be studied. I mean, the amount of adrenaline that rushes through our bodies when we're stimulated by this love drug is absolutely intoxicating. Over the last couple of years, I've invited guests to break down the ever-changing nuances of love during our annual love series. They've shared research, stories, and strategies for building strong, healthy relationships. And for a long time, I wondered if my own perspective just might not be good enough to share with young people, because my love story has had its share of twists and turns. But I've come to realize that what I've lived through aligns with so much of what our experts have shared on our podcast. So in today's episode, I'm taking you back to my college years to share some lessons I learned in love that helped me make better decisions, not only in dating, but in friendships, family, and even in professional relationships. Now, as you listen, I want you to take a deeper look at the power of love in your relationships and how valuable it can be to your development. Love is beautiful. Love is kind. But misguided love, that can be addicting and lead you in many directions if left unchecked. So give yourself permission to explore how love is really showing up in your life and whether it helps you honor yourself or quietly pulls you away from who you've been called to be. Number 1, broaden your horizons. In the midst of developing a love for the arts and my career path, I met an older guy who was also a student on campus. He was very attentive to me. He introduced me to a musical world outside of campus at a local supper club, and I was absolutely drawn in. Eventually, we got closer, and without realizing it, he began to pull my attention away from spending quality time with my friends. This supper club lifestyle led me to explore singing in front of an adult live audience, and I was hooked. I was invited to sing songs with the live band from some of my favorite artists like Anita Baker, Mary J. Blige, and Shaka Khan. When the audience cheered and called out my name, I felt a rush of joy and a sense of belonging. In that moment, I knew I was in love with music, and I knew music was in love with me. My new boyfriend had opened a door for me into a world beyond the theatrical stage, and I fell deeper in love with him for that. But over time, I realized I was actually falling more in love with the music than with our relationship. During those fun, romantic weekends at the supper club, I also started to notice how much I missed hanging out with my girlfriends on campus. I became so consumed with performing that even my boyfriend began to feel like I was losing interest in him. I told him I missed my friends and I wanted to get back to spending more time with them, so we maybe should just probably take a break. He assumed I was seeing someone else and started to show a jealous, angry side that immediately made my decision feel a whole lot easier. And besides, my dad was also concerned that I was spending so much time with someone he had never met. So I began to realize I was in a relationship that was slowly pulling me away from my college experience, and I couldn't let that happen. My boyfriend exposed me to a world that helped shape me into the artist I am today. And for that, I am forever grateful. But I also knew I didn't want that adventurous ride to just take me away from everything else I also loved. Through that season, I discovered parts of myself that I didn't even know existed. So I ask you, are you in a dating relationship right now? If so, make sure your life is still filled with campus activities and people you enjoy, so you can maintain a sense of identity outside of your relationship. Now, interdependency, which is two whole people choosing each other, is so much healthier than codependency. Believing another person will complete you is only for the movies. You need to show up complete. Give yourself the freedom to discover all of who you are, because in the end, that freedom will end up making you a more grounded and interesting person anyway. So, this week, be sure to commit to scheduling time with friends and seeking out one new event or a new job that lets you learn more about who you are as an individual, even while you're in a relationship. Number 2, be careful with intimacy. When I look back on those years, I realized that intimacy didn't just mean physical closeness. It was the late night phone calls, the romantic weekends, the secrets shared, and the feelings that this one person got me more than anyone else in the world. All of that felt good in the moment, but it also made it very easy for me to hand over my heart and my time before I really knew who I was, or who he was for that matter. In that relationship, the attention felt flattering. He checked on me, wanted to know where I was, and was always ready to spend time together. At first, I interpreted that as love and protection. But as the months went on, I started to realize that the same closeness I enjoyed was also blurring my judgment. I was so emotionally tied to him. So much so, I ignored little warning signs and minimized how much the world I knew was shrinking. That's what intimacy can do when we're not being intentional. Emotional and physical closeness create a powerful bond, and that bond can make it harder to see clearly. It can even convince you to stay longer than you should, give more than you're ready to give, and even excuse behavior that doesn't really represent your values. By the time you notice the red flags, you may already feel too attached to walk away. So what does it look like to be careful in intimacy? Well, let's first decide your boundaries before you're alone with someone. Be honest with yourself about what you're ready for and what you're not, both emotionally and physically. Write it down if you have to. Second, notice how you feel after you spend time with that person. Do you feel peaceful, respected, and more like yourself? Or do you feel anxious, pressured, or drained? Your body and your spirit will often tell you the truth way before your mind is willing to catch up. Invite accountability. Identify a trusted friend, a mentor, or even a campus counselor, and allow these people to gently check in on you. Now, that doesn't mean letting that person control your choices. It means refusing to just navigate such powerful emotions all by yourself. Remember, you have the right to pause, reset, or even step away at any time, no matter how much you've already shared with the person. Intimacy is a beautiful gift, but in the wrong season or with the wrong person, it can become a distraction from your purpose. So guard your heart, not out of fear, but out of respect for the calling that's on your life. Number 3, be clear about your expectations. One of my biggest realizations from that relationship was that I had all these expectations in my head that I never clearly said out loud. In my mind, I wanted balance, I wanted time with my friends, time to develop my craft, and time to just be on campus, soaking up my own college experience. But in practice, I was letting the relationship set my schedule. If he called, I picked up. If he wanted to go out, I went. My expectations stayed inside, and before I knew it, my resentment slowly started to grow. There was even a moment when I realized I felt guilty for wanting something as simple as a girls' night out or a quiet night to myself in my apartment. That's when it hit me. I had never really told him what I needed. I just kept adjusting to what he wanted. And when I finally tried to pull back and reclaim my time, it felt like a shock to him, because I was only just learning how to say what I really needed. Being clear about your expectations isn't about controlling someone else. It's about honoring what you know you need, be it space to study, room for your dreams, time with your friends, and respect for your boundaries. When you communicate that early in the relationship, you give the other person a chance to show you who they really are and whether they're willing to meet you there, or whether they're only comfortable when everything revolves around them. So whether you're in a relationship or not, I implore you to take a moment and write down what you actually expect from a dating partner. How often do you want to see each other? How do you want to communicate? How important is it that they respect your faith, your goals, and your friendships? Then have an honest conversation where you can share at least one of those expectations. Then notice how they respond, not just their words, but their attitude. And then remember, you're allowed to adjust your expectations as you grow. Gaining clarity is not a one-time thing. It's an ongoing practice of telling the truth about what you need so you don't disappear inside someone else's story. Number 4, identify a healthy dating relationship. I had both the thrill of being with someone who opened doors for me, but I also had the weight of discovering the relationship wasn't as healthy as I initially thought it was. On the surface, it looked great. We shared a love for music, we spent time together, and he gave me access to rooms and stages I never would have seen without him. But as time went on, I started to notice the difference between what felt exciting and what was actually healthy. A healthy relationship doesn't ask you to shrink your dreams or abandon your community. It doesn't punish you for wanting to study, rehearse, or even rest. It doesn't make you feel guilty for spending time with your family or your friends. In a healthy relationship, your partner is proud of your growth. They respect your no, and they show up consistently, not just when it benefits them. They don't become a different person when you're not alone. How they treat you in public and how they treat you in private are one in the same. Now, looking back, I can see that my relationship had some beautiful moments and some warning signs. The exposure to music and the arts was amazing, but the jealousy and the anger when I tried to pull back, those were signs that we weren't building something balanced and sustainable. It took courage to admit that to myself and to finally choose my health and my goals over the comfort of what was familiar. So, how do you begin to identify a healthy dating relationship for your life? Think about your current or past relationships and mentally note the moments you felt most respected and most disrespected. Over the next week, start watching how this person talks to others and how they react when you say no or set a boundary. Pay close attention to how they talk about other people and how they handle stress or disappointment. Then ask yourself an honest question. Am I more myself with this person, or do I feel like I'm performing a role for them? The right relationship will help you become more of who you already are, not less. Number 5, love yourself more. Yes, becoming more. One of the most powerful lessons I learned in college is that loving someone else should never cost you yourself. I didn't understand that at first. I thought that being a good girlfriend meant always being available, always saying yes, and always putting his needs before my own. But over time, I started to notice that the more I made him the focus, the more I started to disappear. My voice got quieter, and my needs went to the bottom of the list. And the girl who came to campus with big dreams was beginning to feel small. Choosing to step back from that relationship wasn't easy. I cared about him, and I appreciated what he had poured into my life. But I also knew deep down that God had placed something in me that deserved to be nurtured. Loving myself more didn't mean I stopped loving him. It meant I refused to sacrifice my purpose, my peace, and my growth just to be with someone. Loving yourself more is about remembering you are the main character in your own story. When you honor your body, your boundaries, your dreams, and your mental and spiritual health, you're not being selfish. You're being a good steward of who you are. And ironically, the more you love yourself in a healthy way, the more capable you become of loving other people as well. So here's a challenge. Write down at least 5 things you love about yourself and 5 things you need to feel respected and safe in a relationship. Start to look at your current or past relationships through that lens. Were those things protected or constantly threatened? And then make a quiet commitment to yourself. I will not abandon me to keep someone else. Repeat it again. I will not abandon me to keep someone else. When you start from a place of self-love, every decision you make in dating, friendship, and even work will come from a stronger, more grounded version of you. And that's the version the world needs to see. Life is meant to be lived, and every relationship is part of that journey, not just the ones that last, but the ones that teach. Your job is not to get love just good enough. is to learn something from every connection you make. So love yourself first, because there's no time to stay bitter or sit in regret. Take the lesson, bless the experience, and by all means, keep it moving. Don't wait to find yourself in another person. Find yourself within yourself. And if you're not sure who that is yet, wait, because the journey is worth it. As you grow, you'll discover what you want in life and what you will no longer settle for. The partner you choose should support your journey, and you should support theirs. But staying just to avoid facing yourself will never validate the beautiful individual God created you to be. You can love a lot of things, a major, a dream, even a relationship. But pause and ask yourself, do you love who you are in your relationship? And do you truly love who they are as they are? Sit with that. If you're listening for the first time and you are not familiar with me or our podcast, please go to our website for more information to listen to our previous episodes. Learning from our experts will save you some time and help you build a strong future you can be proud of. As always, thank you to those who continue to support our podcast. We are grateful for you, your support, and your suggestions for new topics. Tune in this month as we continue to celebrate our annual love series, Rooted in Love. And for my final words, take care of your heart and honor your journey. Until next time, be well.